Welcome to the Teaching and Volunteering Abroad panel presentation. My name is Kelly Nelson. I am an Education Abroad Advisor in the International Center's Education Abroad office. And part of the reason that I'm moderating the panel today is that I too participated in a Teaching English Abroad program in between undergrad and graduate school. I'm a past participant of the Fulbright Teaching Assistantship Program in Germany, and the Fulbright program is a U.S. government-sponsored program that offers opportunities to teach English abroad in over 65 countries. I'm sorry to say that the application deadline for the 2013-2014 academic year has unfortunately passed. It was September 10th this year, but for those of you who might be looking for opportunities in the future, say a year or two from now, you can definitely feel free to contact me about that opportunity, and my email address is on the sheet. So tonight's event is one of several events that are part of the 10th Annual International Career Pathways Series. The series will be wrapping up over the course of the next week or two. We have the big event tomorrow, which is the International Opportunities Fair, which I hope you'll all join us at. It's from 2 to 6 p.m. in the Michigan Union second floor, both the ballroom and Pendleton room. And all of our great guests today will also be at the fair, so if you don't get all of your questions answered today, you can certainly come back and talk to them then. We have almost 60 organizations registered for the fair, and these include organizations that offer opportunities to volunteer, do internships, teach English abroad, study abroad in conjunction with an internship or volunteer opportunity. There's also some career-oriented work there as well. So it's a great mix of organizations. We certainly hope you can join us. In addition to the International Opportunities Fair, I would like to bring your attention to the list of the International Career Pathways events that is possibly on the back of your agenda. So we're all the way to the bottom now, but tomorrow after the fair we have a great event, Peace Corps in Your Global Career, which will feature some mid-career professionals talking about how Peace Corps influenced their career. And then on Monday there's a very important panel on funding for internships and research abroad. Now our panelists today will be discussing whether or not the programs they're representing have program fees. And it's really not uncommon for placement programs to have fees. And I just want to remind you that the University of Michigan has a lot of resources for students who are going to be doing work abroad opportunities. And this would be grants and fellowships that you could apply for so long as you're a returning student. So if you'll be coming back to campus in the fall. And so if you are going to be going abroad this summer, we would highly recommend that you attend that workshop. Several different funding units will be talking about the opportunities that they have to offer, as well as what makes a competitive applicant. And then there are a couple more presentations that will be taking place in a couple of weeks as well. So this evening we have 7 panelists who are representing 7 different organizations. And because we have a lot to get through, we are going to ask that you hold your questions till the end. But at the end of the presentations, we will have some time for question and answer in case you want to ask some questions to our entire panel. I've asked each one of our panelists to prepare to speak on a few topics. They are, well, first of all, I would like them all to give a brief overview of the opportunities that their organization offers. I'd like them to talk or to address whether or not fees are required in order to participate in their program, and if there are fees, what does the fee cover, and why should students expect to pay fees in order to participate in placement programs. The panelists will also be addressing what type of support is offered by their program, both pre-departure support as well as in-country. And lastly, I'm asking all the panelists to talk a little bit about what people should consider when choosing a volunteer or teach abroad program. And for this question, I've asked all the panelists to kind of remove themselves from their specific program and give you advice that's really generalizable to any program that you might be looking into. So our first section of the presentation will feature several organizations that offer short-term volunteer and internships abroad, as well as some teach abroad opportunities as well. These opportunities are often very flexible, as you'll hear from our panelists. They're very flexible in terms of their start date as well as their duration, and they can often really match you to a great opportunity that best fits your needs and interests. They're perfectly suited for current students or returning students, as well as graduate students or maybe graduating seniors. So without further further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to our first panelist, who is Sudie, Nallo, who is representing the organization Cross-Cultural Solutions.
Thank you everyone for being here. I think it says a lot. We're definitely surprised as panelists to see so many students out with interest in going abroad. So I know it's certainly encouraging and motivating. I myself completed my master's practicum abroad. I have my master's in social work from Washington University in St. Louis, and I volunteered abroad in West Africa during my graduate school experience. I'm also an alum of Cross-Cultural Solutions Morocco program. I participated in a women's empowerment program in Rabat, Morocco. So to give you a bit of information about the types of opportunities that Cross-Cultural Solutions provides, we provide short and long-term volunteer and internship opportunities for students. The types of opportunities that are available range from those that are what we would call our 1 week insight program. So for those of you who may have never traveled abroad before, who would like to learn a bit about a culture and a community in a kind of structured, project-based environment, we have our 1 week insight program that allows for you to volunteer in a community as well as learn about a culture from an introductory standpoint. And then we have our volunteer abroad program that's 2 to 12 weeks. That again is volunteer engagement and community engagement activities for what we would call 2 to 3 month period, 2 weeks, depending on your schedule and time frame. We do also have a professional development opportunity that's available to students that we would call our intern abroad program. So for those students that are interested in gaining professional development experience that is structured by you, customized by you in terms of what sort of professional development you hope to gain in your career or postgraduate opportunities, we would structure a program for you around our internship abroad program. Cross-Cultural Solutions operates in 10 countries. We operate in the regions of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Within these communities, we operate programs year-round. We are a part of a community and really interested in sustainable development initiatives whereby volunteers can come in for a short period of time, and then other fellow students or other volunteers such as yourselves can come in and pick up where your project has left off of. And so that way the community still feels connected to an initiative, even though there may be new individuals engaging in it. The project in and of itself is sustainable. And so those are a few of the opportunities that are available with Cross-Cultural Solutions and the regions we're located in. As far as fee requirements to participate in our program, I think Kelly mentioned we do have a fee-based requirement for our programs. Cross-Cultural Solutions is a not-for-profit organization and a 501c3, and we're completely supported by the program fees that volunteers and interns and students such as yourself provide for the program. As a 501c3, all volunteer program fees are tax deductible, but basically Kelly wanted us to talk about what the program fees cover. So for you, the student, you can imagine that going abroad, you have to think about how am I going to get around, how I'm going to transport myself, how am I going to eat, where am I going to live, where am I going to stay, how am I going to make sure that where I am staying is going to be a safe and secure opportunity. Who am I going to be working with? Am I going to be alone, or am I going to be working in conjunction with others to help support my experience? So basically the program fee that Cross-Cultural Solutions requests, it goes to support the program development. So we provide pre-departure support. We're based in New York. So if any of you all are in the New York area, I love having visitors. It gets a little lonely sometimes in Westchester, so I would love to have some guests visit. But basically what the program fee covers is for me to support you in developing your idea of what the volunteer program would be. Also, you would be speaking directly with a US-based program site specialist that would prepare you for what to expect in country, what are the cultural norms, what are the program expectations, what your volunteer placement would be, and that would all be done here in the US prior to you arriving in country. Also, that program site specialist will serve as a liaison between you and the in-country staff that you'll be working with prior to you arriving in country. And then the program fee covers your in-country staff support. So when you arrive in country, there'll be someone there to pick you up from the airport, transport you to the home base. You'll be transported to your volunteer placement sites. Also, cultural and learning activities are a part of our experience. I'm pretty sure you've heard this term in terms of education called a holistic model. So volunteering abroad is not just about your direct interactions with the community, but it's also about activities that you'll engage in that will also contribute to your experience. That can include language lessons, excursions into the communities, field trips, and things of that nature. And so the program fee also covers program-based cultural and learning activities that will enhance your volunteer experience as well. And then the program fee will also cover comprehensive travel medical insurance, also a 24-hour emergency hotline that's available as well. So the program fee covers your in-country expenses as well as your pre-departure support. Why should students expect to pay? Again, if you were to coordinate these activities on your own, you would obviously be spending money to coordinate those activities, so that is why the program fee is required. Also, cross-cultural solutions staff. So we have New York-based staff that will help prepare you to go in country, but we also have in-country staff. And all of our in-country staff are local nationals of the community. So for instance, in Morocco, all of the in-country staff are Moroccans. And so the program fee provides a livable wage to those individuals that are supporting you on the ground. Sometimes people don't realize that you being in country and volunteering is not just where the volunteerism ends. Individuals are also there to help support you while you're in country as well, and there's an expense that's associated with that. So the program fee helps to provide livable wages for community members that are supporting foreign volunteers in country. I talked about the pre-departure support that's offered, and what should people consider when you're choosing a volunteer or teach abroad program. I would say that you really need to take a step back and think about who you are as a person. And what type of experience you need to gain. Cross-Cultural Solutions provides a safety net for individuals that feel like they need it. Maybe you feel like you only need limited support in country. So if you feel like you're the type of person that would like some form of support and or structure in terms of your experience, this is a great opportunity for you. You should also consider what your community expectations may be. Are you a project-based, hands-on individual that wants to build homes, do environmental sustainability activities, or are you a person that wants to engage in people-to-people interactions? Cross-Cultural Solutions volunteer placements are people-to-people oriented. So our impact areas include healthcare and providing healthcare development in local clinics. It also includes teaching opportunities and engagement. It also involves women empowerment and community development, and these are all community-based people-to-people activities. So if you're a people person, if you're a social person, if you're an individual that wants to interact directly with populations, this is the program. So you want to consider what your personality type is like whenever you're considering a program that you may want to participate in. And I think I've covered the questions, and I guess we'll circle back around if I need to cover anything else.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move right along to our next presenter. Paul Hopkinson is the Director of Experiential Learning Abroad Programs, otherwise known as ELAP, which offers internship and volunteer programs in Latin America, England, Morocco, South Korea, and Spain.
You answered first of my question. That's great. So now you know where we go, which is excellent. Yes, ELAP, a lot easier than Experiential Learning Abroad programs. We're a division of ISA, International Studies Abroad. Basically, in the world of international education, you take a few letters and put them together. You have a company or an on-site staff or somewhere unique like that. But it's the great place is that we've been around for 10 years, and ISA has been around for 25. So basically, what we do in all locations that Kelly had just mentioned, we utilize the on-site staff and infrastructure there to provide service learning and internship opportunities. We have short-term, long-term combination programs where you can study abroad and do the intern volunteer work. We have kind of breaking it down if you want to do volunteer, intern plus academic studies, so you have your typical course that you'll take, and then you might work 5 to 10 hours a week at a local organization, school, clinic, business, etc. If you want to do what we call a standalone model, where ultimately you're doing 100% ELAP, and so you're working 20, 30 plus hours with, again, those local organizations. And I think a unique thing to consider, what we offer is these placements, a lot of them, at least in Spanish-speaking countries, require a good level of Spanish, an intermediate level or higher. And the way in which we kind of work with students that are applying for this, we do a Spanish language interview over the phone. We have you kind of provide your resume in Spanish. And then, again, working with our on-site coordinators and the local staff, make sure that your skill set and your interests and background fit with what they're able to, provide you with that experience. We also have another program model called an add-on. So again, you want to do an intensive language month and get your language skills up to par, and then you can stick around in country for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks again, and really put those skills to work. We have group projects, 2 week, or in the summertime, or the alternative spring break as well. So we try to provide a variety of options for students, again, short-term, long-term, combination academics plus the intern volunteer. With the fees, I think very similar with what Sudie had said. It's on-site staff in Austin. We're based out of Austin, Texas, to give you a lot of personalized attention. You get an orientation handbook, a site-specific and cultural handbook prior to arrival to get you, again, prepared, to get you more in the mindset of where you're going and what you'll be doing. Part of ELAP, we also have a portfolio that students will work on throughout their program. In this portfolio, it's kind of a service learning-based curriculum, and we want you to be able to, as I like to say, kind of have this transformative experience. When you guys come to college, if your parents, whatever, dropped you off on the first day and didn't see you till 4 years later, hopefully 4 years, then you should definitely be different. You should be transformed, and we want you to have that experience. And so a big part of it is not just going and showing up and working and coming back. It's processing the experience and learning about cross-cultural competencies and kind of taking yourself out of the American bubble and really taking it and learning Latin American time, or how do Spaniards do business, and how do they do this in Morocco, or why is culture this way, and not necessarily questioning it in a negative way, but really learning from their perspective, which is, I think, a big part of going abroad, which if you haven't done already, you will. And another part of it is it's a guaranteed placement. So again, being able to work with an organization and provide a fee that we can work with our on-site staff, with organizations that, again, our staff is local, have vetted and made sure, okay, this is a good organization. Same with the families, with the home state. These are good families. We work with them. And it's that peace of mind, really, that you're going to be safe and that you're going to be at a reputable organization in the community. And throughout your program, like I was saying with the portfolio, we have you do reflective essays every 2 weeks. And so a reflective essay will pop up on your online portal asking you, again, these kind of unique prompts for cultural competencies and to kind of think outside the box. And on the alternating weeks, you have group discussions in person with your ELAP coordinator. And so individual processing and reflection, but also in-person connection with other volunteers, like how's your placement going? Are you having a good time? What's working, what's not working? So you have a little bit of a support system there, which I think is really important. And then throughout that, you have what we call a log of hours. And so you're keeping track of your hours, your activities, what are you doing? It's signed off by your supervisor every 2 weeks, and then you hand it into your supervisor with the work, and then you hand it into our ELAP coordinator during those group discussions. And so kind of as you're providing more oversight for making sure you're being committed to what you're supposed to do, but for us also to provide oversight to make sure that the organization is keeping in line with what they said they were going to be having you work on or participate in. You also, at the end of the program, you get a supervisor evaluation. So then you get some feedback from a professional that has been working with you. And all of this goes together within a portfolio that we send to you at the end of the program. And that's a nice piece, almost a tangible representation of your experience abroad. And it's a good way, again, to utilize as a tool as you to market yourself, to work on your resume and present to employers, graduate schools, etc. So you have this great experience. Now you have this actual documentation of what you've been doing for those duration of the program. And then I think ultimately what you should consider when choosing a volunteer or teacher abroad program, I think it's important to be honest with yourself and know, oh man, I want to go in the middle of nowhere. Do you really want to go in the middle of nowhere? Like, have you gone in the middle of nowhere and had no support? Like, it sounds great, but it's really tough. And I think knowing it's important to understand what's included in the program, what your money does go to, talk to alumni, talk to staff that have working with the program, because it's really important to get a peer-to-peer, I think, experience as well as from what we say and what we've experienced. All of us wouldn't be up here if we didn't believe in our organization first and foremost, and our staff overseas. And I think ultimately you want to find an opportunity that, in this case, might be fitting in with your academic requirements, that you can get credit for it or not, but also that is going to be maybe a springboard to a career or to a grad program. Because, to get a job, you gotta have experience. To get experience, you gotta have a job. You're in this catch-22, and this is a really great way to harness that energy, that interest, and really to have a fantastic thing on your resume that studying abroad is really exciting and awesome. And I think it's becoming a much more normal thing to see on students' resumes. So what is that other thing you're doing to really step out of that kind of traditional path of a student going abroad? And for our kind of categories, I don't think I touched upon that we offer, we have a variety of placement types. So, social work, healthcare, arts and tourism, education, environment, sustainability, business and marketing, technology, communication. I mean, the variety of, placement types are endless. And the organizations, we have, medical clinics, PR firms, we have a record label in London that students can work at. We have, an NGO working with women micro-enterprising in Chile. Again, I think there's something for everyone, but ultimately it's important to be, like I said, honest with yourself, see if it fits in personally and professionally and academically, and really ask a lot of questions, because the more information you have, the better informed you'll be, and the more happy you will be when you touch down in whichever country and start that, that placement. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. And Paul brought up a really good point about touching base with peers who have done programs like this before. And in the International Center's Education Abroad office, we try to kind of keep up with this, and we have a list of volunteer peer advisors, and we know of students who have done a lot of programs like this. So if you do want to connect with somebody, you can always contact us and see if we can connect you with a University of Michigan student or a recent grad. Moving right along, I'd like to introduce to you Emlyn Lee, who is with the organization Cultural Embrace by API, and they offer a very wide variety of opportunities.
Thanks, Kelly, and thank you all for being here. It's so nice outside. I think it's like more mild here than it is in Austin.
I know.
But I'm from Austin too. My name's Emlyn Lee, and I was probably sitting in a seat like you of my senior year of college. I didn't know what I wanted to do after I graduated. So I actually ended up teaching English abroad. And so I taught English in China, and I didn't use a program provider. It was just something that I did with relatives and contacts there. And from there, things just kind of fall in my lap. From there, I made contacts, and then I became a cruise director on a riverboat ship that went up and down the Yangtze. And then from that, I got introduced to tourism and hospitality, so I managed operations to 80 countries around the world for luxury tour companies and just things like that. So it's great to always have a plan, but sometimes your plan just kind of happens, especially when you're traveling. So in 2002, I actually started Cultural Embrace. It was something that kind of made me, after 9/11, and just knowing that tourism kind of shut down doors and the media was kind of making the fear of traveling, it kind of instigated my reasons to start a travel company. And then so I actually started Cultural Embrace around 2002 and worked on some programs, visited all the sites, and created the website and everything. So I got marketed in 2004. And then earlier this year, we actually got acquired by API, a program provider, a study abroad program provider. So it's academics programs, international. And so we're really adding on to their study abroad programs, as well as offering the individual independent placements. So what Cultural Embrace offers are a wide variety of opportunities, from anything from short-term, 1 week, to long-term placements up to a year. We've got unpaid and also paid opportunities. So I'm going to kind of introduce the more unpaid first. We've got internships and volunteer, which is really geared towards academic, professional, and personal endeavors. So we've got placements all around the world, from Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe. And it's really geared to get to know what your interests are. So what is your passions, your skills, your experiences, things that you want to try out, things that you aren't sure because you didn't study that in a class. Maybe this is where you want to get that hands-on experience with a company or a project. So the difference for us, for our volunteer projects, is mainly because we make placements in an NGO, a nonprofit, or a humanitarian project. And then the internships is within a government or a corporation, but they kind of cross, kind of intersect. So really, that's when you talk to our advisors and you let us know what your goals are and which is better, a volunteer or internship program. But essentially, they're from a wide variety of fields and majors, so anything from architecture to zoology. We've got, if somebody likes animal life, then we've got placements in the Galapagos. We've got, farm ranch work in Australia. So, a wide range of things. If people want to do business or medical, I know a lot of times they think, okay, if I'm a business, I want to do an internship with a company. But now, social enterprise and social businesses and working for an NGO or a nonprofit, you can do a lot more hands-on work that might be social business or medical work type things there too. And then I know a lot of times it's kind of hard to afford to go abroad. So then we've also created more affordable ways where you can go teach and work abroad. And even if you're not an English major or an education major, these are great ways for you to just really get immersed within the communities, have a home base, offer a skill and services that you can give back to the community, not still have a little bit more free time so that you could still pursue some of your other endeavors. So we have a program under our Teach Abroad, which is called Language Living, and this is where you live with a host family. You teach them English for about 15, 20 hours a week, usually in the late afternoons when they come home from school and work. So in the daytime, you have a lot of spare time to, take language lessons. You could, museum hop. You could sunbathe. You could do whatever you want. You could even, that's when you could also volunteer, like go to the Chamber of Commerce and then talk to people about business endeavors or things of that, more at your own prerogative. The language living programs are very nominal cost, so it's just a way for you to have a home base with the local family, have housing and meals, and then just really get immersed. And you're on a tourist visa, so you're only staying for 3 months. You're not getting any type of monetary exchange, so it's totally fine up to 3 months. So we've got some great destinations there throughout Brazil, France, Italy, Peru, Spain, and Thailand. And then to move forward to that, then to actually get paid is where we have our Teach English programs. And again, you don't have to be an English major, an education major. It certainly helps if you have some sort of experience. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, I would highly encourage you to start volunteering here on campus or at a public library and start tutoring and teaching. But again, as our advisors and our coordinators will basically have a phone and Skype interview unless you come to Austin. And then, just making sure that you know what the positions are going to be for all of our programs, and then so we want to make sure that we're representing, you're representing Culture Embrace well, and then also our local coordinators in the home country will be vetting and making sure the companies or the schools that you'll be working with are going to be a good fit too. So for teaching abroad, the nice perks about that is that you get paid so we guarantee a placement, and then you get paid a very good, comfortable local salary. So it could be anything from $400 US up to $1,200 US, which doesn't sound like too much in US terms. It doesn't sound like you're going to ever pay your school loans off. But at the same time, it's just a very good, affordable way for you to live abroad, have nice pocket money to go out, great, travel benefits as a teacher because you get the semester breaks, holiday breaks. And so you can easily travel abroad and continue on. And I know most teachers usually can, at least make some savings and come home with, not being in debt. So that's our Teach program. And then we also have a Work Abroad program where you can work, and if you like kids, you can serve as an au pair nanny. And that's where you're really immersed with the families. You're living with them, you have room and board, and you're basically part of the family. And so that is a full-time gig. We have nannies, so guys, don't worry. We definitely have some guys that kind of serve as child care providers. And what's really nice is these countries in Spain, Italy, France, they take off for 6 weeks in the holidays, during the summer break. And so we get these emails from our participants, and they're like, yes, we're on the French Riviera. I'm like, this is not a job. You're totally on a family vacation. So it's really nice because the family really treats you as one of their own. And then we also have a Work Abroad program with hospitality and tourism. So this is non-technical work in Australia and New Zealand. There's a reciprocity visa, so Aussies and Kiwis can come over here, and they can work at Disneyland, ski resorts, things like that, and we can do the same thing. Where if you're between 18 and 30, you should take advantage of this, and you have a visa good for up to 1 year, where you can, basically do non-technical hospitality work in the, customer service field. So those are more of our individual placements. So we really try to get to know who you are, what your skills, your budget, your interests are, and then try to match you to the best fit and the availability and the needs. So it's a mutually beneficial fit with the local communities. Again, it's tailored to fit your time. If you have a week, then we should suggest a semester, just a short-term volunteer program. If you are able to commit a semester a year, and you're about to graduate, we then, I think teaching is a really great way because that's really a cost-effective way. You earn a local salary, and at the same time, you're only teaching 20, 25 hours that you could still do something more in your field if it's not education. And then we also designed group trips, and this is designed so that we can get, a small intimate group of 5 to 12 people to go abroad and really kind of have a nice way to travel with like-minded travelers, but then also to be able to do a more significant project with the communities. So we have destinations next year to Brazil, South Africa, Thailand, Turkey, and Guatemala. And they could be everything from like a spring break, 1 week gap break, spring break trip, to a 2-week departure in the summertime. And again, this is just a little combination of adventure travel plus service work, and then excursions, cultural lessons. We have a lot of cooking and a lot of dancing and weaving classes, so it's a really nice fit. But to answer some of the questions, as far as fees, yes, we do have fees. They're quite nominal. We like what the earlier two panelists were saying, they definitely are. They're guaranteed placements, so they're supporting our Austin staff, but then also we have a local staff too. So our local coordinators will be basically kind of going out searching and seeking the placements with the local companies, with the local projects, with the families, with the housing, depending on what your program is. But our programs typically include your housing, whether that's at a volunteer center, a dormitory, your own apartment if you're teaching, to the host families, and then also meals are included, depends on the program. So it's, I can't say it's always included, but for most of our volunteer programs it's included. For the internships it varies. And then we do include international insurance. So this is, evacuation and repatriation. So any type of emergency evacuation, we definitely can send you back. And again, since now that we're a division of API, Academics Programs International, they have, not in addition to the Austin office staff and then our local partners, we also have in-country API resident directors. So they're there in about 10 of our 19 countries that we work. So that's another support too. They may not be in your specific site, but they're in country where they can serve as a go-to person in case of emergency or something like that. So we have an application process. It's rolling and ongoing. So we ideally ask your applications for like 3 to 4 months in advance. The only times when it's really strict of when we need placements is like the start dates of a school. So obviously if a school's starting in the fall season, you're going to want to apply and get ready for the fall season. But as far as interning and volunteering and teaching, working abroad, it's pretty ongoing. So it's really rolling admissions. And then things to consider when you go abroad, I think, just again, you have to be really mindful. Obviously you want your safety and health for you. So you want to consider what is your time, your budget, your schedule, but then also be really mindful, put yourself in the shoes of the community that you're visiting, because I think a lot of times we think, wait, why am I paying to volunteer? But again, I think Sudie recommended, earlier, it's, when you're there for 1 week or 2 months or whatever, we still have to maintain that ongoing and sustainable abilities so that the communities aren't just relying on the foreigners there. And then the other end too is also be realistic. I think we're very ambitious and ambitious generation. And so if you're doing an internship, it's great that you want to, be a consultant for analyzing, the finance of a bank or something. But at the same time, you have to be realistic too of, if you're there for 3 months, if you're there for your summer break, you're just, a foreigner there, and you just put yourself in the shoes of the employer and just be mindful of the expectations. So that's what we're here to help you with. We're here to prepare you before you go abroad. Our local coordinators are, again, preparing the company or the project or the school that's working with you. But so as long as we all can kind of communicate that, and manage each other's expectations.
Great, thank you, Emlyn. Our next presenter is Anuli Anyanwu, and she's actually a PhD student here at the University of Michigan. She's representing an organization called Child Family Health International, which offers short-term health-related internships and, service-related internships in several different destinations all over the world. So I'll turn the floor over to her.
So I'm going to take myself kind of in the perspective of a student and kind of where you guys are at. So I'm kind of the Child Family Health International Liaison, and we're based in San Francisco. So when I graduated from undergrad, I decided that I wanted to do an abroad experience because I'm originally from Nigeria, and I just needed something that would kind of get me back into kind of like being in a cultural setting where I can learn from the community and also have something to take back as far as my future career goals. So I decided I sort of kind of blindly, actually serendipitously found CFHI through one of these sort of panel groups. They came and they spoke at our university, and I was really fascinated with the program because what they have is they take students, either you're going to graduate school, medical school, PA school, or nursing programs. They take students and put them into the community and sort of immerse them in the community for 4 to 6 weeks. The program that I did was about 6 weeks. So, and the program I did was in India. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my experience and how, I got to, Michigan. So I decided to join CFHI and, volunteer in the India program where I worked in different clinics all over India. And it was really amazing because what they do is actually you are working with physicians and also the nurses, and you're sort of learning from them, and you're taking back experiences back to your community, and you have to give a presentation at the end of it. One of the things that I felt like was really amazing for this program, and what I took out of this program, was after the 4 weeks, I got really inspired, and I really wanted to start my own nonprofit. And CFHI is they're really good about encouraging students to really give back in the grassroots level, and that's kind of where my perspective is. I don't really have because I didn't get the email, Kelly, sorry. So I didn't get the list, so I'm just kind of going from my memory here. We do offer scholarships. Because I actually applied for the scholarship and I got it. It's about $1,000, and they also give you an opportunity to fundraise as well. I know that CFHI also has programs where they start Kickstart programs. I don't know if anyone knows about the website, where they actually help you fundraise for your trip, which is awesome. And that's something that's relatively new to CFHI because we really want to get students really involved in the community they're in. Some of the programs, some of the communities that you would potentially be interested in is we have over 20 programs in Mexico, in Bolivia, in Ecuador, South Africa, in India, which is a program that I did in Nicaragua as well. And these are all child family-based programs. Some of the programs in Bolivia, they actually put you, they're women that are in prison and they have kids, and they actually put you in the community where you can actually help and learn from the women and from their children and help take care of them, so you're really immersed in it. And they also have language immersion programs where if you're interested in learning the language, like for me when I went to India, we had actually a Hindi tutor that came to our stay at home where we were staying to come every week to kind of just teach us a few words, conversational words, so that when we went out to the hospital, we were able to kind of interact with the locals and interact with the physicians and kind of just really get us involved and not just be sort of just standing there and being observers. One of the also interesting things about CFHI is we have a very strong alumni base. So once I was done with the India program, I think 3 years later, I decided that I wanted to go back to the India program and actually be, instead of a student learning, I wanted to sort of be kind of a representative for the program. So they actually put me back in the India program where I was able to kind of take 4 or 5 students. So I was no longer a student, I was more like a coordinator. So I would take the students all over, and it's such an amazing experience because you not only see it from the perspective of teaching someone else about another culture, but you're also learning as well. We've been active for about 12 years. It's a very established program, and it's a nonprofit program. And let me see what else. I think that's pretty much it for me. We have a booth tomorrow, so you guys should definitely come by and check us out. If you have any other specific questions for me, I'm going to take questions from the audience, and maybe I can help you guys more understand how service-based learning works with CFHI.
Thank you. So the next section of today's presentation is going to focus a little bit more on teaching English abroad. So very often, the teaching English abroad opportunities that we advise on require that participants possess a bachelor's degree. So this is a really great option if any of you in the room are graduating seniors or graduating graduate students who are looking for something to do, possibly for one academic year, because a lot of programs ask that you can offer at least one academic year. So to get the ball rolling on the topic of teaching abroad, I would like to introduce to you Melinda Matice from the U of M English Language Institute, and she's going to talk a little bit more about opportunities that are available here to you at the University of Michigan to better prepare for a teaching abroad assignment.
Hi. I'm happy to see you all. I'm a little bit different than everybody else because I teach a course here at the university. So you probably are very familiar with the fees associated with the tuition. It's a 3-credit course. It's it's training people that it's called Topics in ESL, but it's fundamentals in teaching English as a second language internationally. So it's offered in the winter semester and the spring semester, and it's to give you the basics in what it means to teach ESL. So we look a bit at second language acquisition and methodologies. We have practice teaching sessions where you're actually teaching to other people in the class as though they're students, and there's a lot of hands-on and practical approaches, as well as considering some of the political and cultural issues of what it means to be a teacher in different venues and cultures around the world. I've been doing it for several years now, and students have gone overseas from the class, using the class as a springboard. They use it to gain hours because there's so many hours now to go before you go into the Peace Corps to volunteer, and students want to know how to set up lessons, so they use it for that venue. I've had students that have been accepted to Fulbright or are waiting to hear from Fulbright, but know that they're have applied to go overseas to teach, and they want to know more about it. I also have students that have been a minor in a language or have been studying a language as a major, and they want to go over and spend a year in the country and immerse themselves. And then I have had other students that only have summers available, and so they use this class to springboard into volunteering for 4 weeks or 6 weeks in a country where they can go to more remote areas, jump in, and start teaching right away. There's a lot of different reasons that students have come to the class. We have connections to other programs. We have a connection to university in China that has an intensive program where students can then volunteer. We've had connections with students go over from the class to the Georgian program, former Soviet Georgia. So it allows for any sorts of opportunities to join in with these programs, but to get a little more prepared in advance. It allows for students to just take this and be independent and decide which country they're going to go to, which kind of programs. It's an entree into some better programs and higher pay. And so sometimes students do this as a year after their undergraduate, go to Korea and pay off some student debts. There's a multitude of reasons. I think when you're looking for how to choose a volunteer or teach abroad program, you have to look at what your end goals are and how this fits in and the time that you have available. It's so nice to hear about all these programs where there's short periods of time that you can go overseas and step right into it, be in a homestay family and jump into some work or volunteer experience. So you have to figure this out according to what your long-term goals are.
Melinda, in addition to the course, could you also say some words about the Conversation Circle program, how that's another
sure.
way that people can prepare?
So another thing that we do at the ELI, because we do some teacher training courses, but we also have the vast majority of our focus is for graduate students and some undergraduates, international students here that are coming here to study at the university. And they're students, but they need some more fluency while they're studying. So the Conversation Circles is a program set up where we have a volunteer who agrees to meet every week over 10 or 11 or 12 weeks of the program, and they have a people sign up, you have a meeting place, and you'll meet with 4 or 5 international students, can be undergrad, graduate from any country, and you meet and just have conversations. You can go to the museum, you can stay in the coffee shop, you can play games, you can cook together, you can walk around campus, but it's just about talking and fluency. And the students really like it, and the American students really like it too. And it is a way to also get some of the volunteer experience to help prepare you, see how much you like it. But it's been a very nice program over the years.
Thank you. So our next presenter today is Matthew Redman, and he is from CIEE Teach Abroad. So some of you may have heard about CIEE in relation to their study abroad programs, but in fact they have an excellent offering in the Teach Abroad arena as well. So he's going to talk to us a little bit more about that.
So thank you everyone for staying awake this long and delaying your plans for tonight. Work for CIEE. CIEE has been offering exchange opportunities for over 65 years, various forms. We've actually been offering Teach Abroad experiences to people for over 15 years now. We started in 1997 with Teach in China, back when teaching abroad was not as commonly heard of as it is now for an opportunity. And always the question that I want to start out with is, how many of you want to work? How many of you want to have an experience that allows you a completely immersive opportunity? And how many of you want to get paid for that experience? So those are the programs that we offer here as far as what it is. So they're programs that offer you complete deep immersion into the communities in which you are. We work with ministries of education in 5 of the 7 countries where we work, and then we work with private institutions in all 7 programs, or all 7 countries. We offer 15 different programs across those countries, ranging in duration from 4 months to a full year. So you've got literally programs that start throughout the year and in many different countries. I'm just going to touch on them quickly. If you have specific questions about them, you should probably come see me afterwards, because there are quite a few and they vary quite a bit. Eligibility. Basic eligibility for any program, you have to have a BA or BS, so you have to graduate, and you have to be a native English speaker. You have to have a good attitude. You have to understand that these are professional opportunities. You're going to work. You're going to have students who are depending on you. You've got to show up. You've got to put your heart into it, because they are real opportunities. You're really teaching. So we work in Spain. We work with the Bilingual Project in Spain in the region of Andalusia. So we place teachers through the Junta de Andalusia, which is like the Ministry of Education in the region, in public schools. People work 12 hours a week. That program runs the academic year, and the deadline for that is March 1st. Applications will open sometime in the month of November. It's a very popular program, and the more organized and orderly and quickly you can get your application done after they open, it'll help. It's probably the biggest question that we'll ever get with Teach Abroad. It's a very popular program. We also work with a private institution that's partially run by a University of Michigan alum in Madrid with Training Express. It's the Teach in Spain professional program. You go teach English in multinational corporations for up to 20 hours a week. It's a fantastic program. We've had great results. This will be the 3rd year that we've run the program in Madrid, so all the positions are in Madrid. It's a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more expensive to live in Madrid, but it's considered more of an internship teaching abroad cross, because there's a lot of teacher education that goes into that program as well. In Chile, we operate 3 separate programs, one with the Ministry of Education. It's called English Opens Doors. We have 4-month and 8-month options where you're placed in public schools beginning in March and July. Applications are now open for that, and they will run through January and through April. We work with an institution called DUOC, which is the technical college that the Universidad Católica operates, so to augment their English language program for future technical employees, engineers, auto mechanics, welders, so they need to have technical knowledge of English to be able to speak with people overseas on the phone, read books, that kind of thing. It's a challenging group of students to work with, because they're not necessarily the most motivated to learn English, because it's purely a professional standpoint. It's not a personal drive necessarily that's driving it. But it's a great program. It sets people in Santiago, Valparaiso, Viña del Mar. It lasts for 10 months. We have the Teach in Spain Professional program, which is a new program this year. It's going to be similar to the Teach in Spain Pro program. So it's going to set you in a private language school working with a business English or a higher level children's environment where you're going to be working within the city of Santiago, working with a private institution. Moved to the Dominican Republic. We run 2 programs in the Dominican Republic, one with the Ministry of Higher Education that we call Teaching Dominican Republic Immersion. Sends people to rural areas, smaller cities outside of the capital areas. You're not going to be in one of the major cities. It's a very service-oriented program where people have the opportunity to work with underserved populations that haven't had the opportunity to work they probably went to school through the 6th grade at best. So you're trying to develop their English language skills, giving them an opportunity to jump into the tourism industry. It's a fantastic program, and we definitely cannot get enough people to do it because it's a challenge. You're working in a disorganized environment because the culture is not one that values order and planning ahead, shall I say. So you have to be ready for it, but it's an amazing program. One of the first people we sent down there 3 years ago is still down there. So just as a testament to what it can be, it's absolutely fantastic. And so I really enjoyed that program a lot. Applications are now open for January if anyone's graduating in December, but it's a full year program beginning in January, ending before Christmas time. Then we work with a private university, the Pontificia Universidad Católica, which is in Santiago and Santo Domingo. It's a little higher level program. They're looking for people maybe with a little bit more qualifications. So even beyond what Mindy was talking about with a single class, you probably have to have some kind of qualifications. These are higher level students. It's a very prestigious university, so they can be pretty picky. They have 3 departures a year. Beyond that, we work in China. We send people to the whole country of China, all over the place. Salaries range from entry-level pay up to experience, and it's a fantastic time to go to China right now. It's getting a little bit trickier with visas, so if you're going to graduate this spring and you want to go next fall, I highly recommend some kind of TEFL certification class and begin volunteering immediately right now, because you've got to have something on your resume to talk about what you've done to get a visa. It's just becoming a bigger challenge as the pay scale goes up in China. We work in South Korea. We work with the Ministry of Education and in the private sphere. So we work with a couple of the larger private schools that offer comprehensive. Generally speaking, you're going to be teaching younger students. In the public program, which is the EPIC program, you will have the opportunity to maybe work in a secondary school. Those decisions are made by the Board of Education. South Korea is one of the higher paying countries where we work. Teach in Vietnam is our second newest program. It is a huge opportunity right now to go into a place where English language learning is really taking off by leaps and bounds. Like, you could be walking down the street and you'll get offered a job in a competing school in Vietnam. Pay scales are escalating like nothing I've ever seen, and I would say this year pay will approach South Korea in a country that costs less to live in. So it's a very interesting situation in Vietnam right now to go and work and see that kind of action developing in where you're working. And then lastly, Thailand has become a very popular program, considered by many people to be a very good balance of a cultural experience combined with a place that's very familiar with tourists. So it's a little bit more comfortable than some of the other Asian countries where pay is pretty generous by local standards. You make plenty of money to be able to travel, at least within the country of Thailand, on a pretty regular basis. So that's kind of an overview. All of our programs, we do charge fees. Fees are required for support. We provide pre-departure education, so we inform you of where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, try to help you feel good about it. We acquire the visa for you in most cases where we can, and in the cases where we cannot actually get it for you, we try to help you as much as possible. We provide travel and accident insurance that is very comprehensive. It's done a great job. In-country orientation is probably the biggest benefit you're going to get. We spend 3 to 7 days with everybody in country when you arrive. Everybody arrives in groups. So, for example, we just sent a group of 85 people to Thailand last week, and so they all arrived. They spent a week together. They know each other. They know, and when they spread out throughout the country, they have a pretty good network of where to visit, who to travel with, support each other. So that's a big benefit that CIEE offers. Beyond that, we offer in-country assistance. So if there's any emergency or problem that you have, we're both based in the U.S. and we have in-country staff. So either way, so if your parents have a problem, then you call us. If you have a problem, you can call our staff in the country. So the fees cover support. And the most important things to consider, everybody's had great suggestions. For teaching abroad specifically, I think the most important thing to think about is what kind of role do you want to play? Do you want to be a lead teacher? Do you want to be an assistant teacher? Is it important that you make a lot of money? Is it important that you feel good about the service that you're providing to the community? Those are all very different roles, different programs. Pay attention to what the program is, what the teaching situation is that you're getting yourself into. What kind of cultural experience do you want to have? What is the value of, what is the goal of education in the country? In Korea, you're going to end up teaching kindergartners a lot because parents are really pushing their kids into education at an early age, and that's where they're putting foreign teachers to gain exposure to younger populations early. Think about who you want to teach. Where do you want to fit into the culture? Do you want to be exonerated, or do you want to be just more of a participant in the society? And then lastly, how much uncertainty can you take? Do you really want to be deeply immersed in the country, because it is challenging, and I think call us if you have any questions. We're honest with how hard the programs are, what it's going to be like as far as costs go, as far as making it through the program, what it's going to be, because we want to set you up for success. That's the goal.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, our final presenter of the evening is Mackenzie Knowling. She's the coordinator of the University of Michigan Peace Corps office, and she's herself is a returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in Guatemala.
Hi. I'll try to make this quick since we are here on campus all year, throughout the academic year. So if you think this is something for you, you can always stop by. We hold office hours. We also hold information sessions once a month. And we'll also be at the International Fair tomorrow. So a general overview of the Peace Corps. I'm sure as Michigan students, you all know the history that we have here at Michigan. It is a U.S. Government agency, so it's run by the U.S. government, but we're pretty autonomous in that sense. But it's a 27-month commitment. 3 months of that is training in country. So the Peace Corps, once you've been selected and assigned to a country, you have staging for, I think it's 1 to 2 days now, depending on where you're going and all of that good stuff, where they'll go over kind of what to expect, take care of any kind of medical, financial, other issues that you need to get taken care of before you get to country. And then once you get to country, you'll have 3 months of pre-service training. That training entails technical training in the project area that you'll be working in. And it's an intense language training, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day for 6 days a week, depending on your language level when you enter country. It'll also cover health training, safety training, cultural training, pretty much anything you can think of. Like, they will train you on, they will make sure you are ready to go out and to do what you need to do. So we have 6 different project areas in Peace Corps. It's education, environment, agriculture, youth and community development, business, and health. I think that's the one I missed. And so underneath all of those, depending on the country, there's different projects, different more focused projects. I served as an agricultural marketing volunteer. I worked with coffee farmers, helping them develop, or an NGO working with coffee farmers, developing their business methodology program and trainings. Yeah, since we are run by the government and funded by taxpayer money, everything's covered. So transportation to and from country at the beginning and end of service, all of your training, you receive a monthly stipend, and that depends on where you're living, what country you're in. It varies from like $150 a month to $300 a month. Typically what a teacher would make in that country is what you'll be making. Yeah, it covers health benefits, pretty much everything. Like anytime if you need to, any kind of health issue that you have, everything's covered. Yeah, other than that, sorry, it's been a long day for me too. I'm also a student, so. So I guess support that you receive here in Michigan, we're actually really lucky. We have a great RPCB group that offers a mentoring program, and they can start with you before you even apply, just to discuss, is this for you? What do you do in the Peace Corps? All of that good stuff. They'll mentor you through the application process, and then after, even during service, if that's what you choose to do. With regards to the Peace Corps, like I said, intense language and technical training, also, health issues, cultural issues, anything in every country. There's staff members on call for any safety reasons and any health reasons. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can get a hold of someone and they'll take care of whatever you need taken care of. After service, we have health benefits. Not health benefits, but health insurance at a reduced cost. You also receive a readjustment allowance to come back. Non-competitive eligibility for government jobs for a year after your service, as well as a great career center at our headquarters in Washington, D.C. There's also our fellowship program, which has a number of universities, has a partnership with Peace Corps, that you can receive funding for your graduate experience. And I guess in general, my advice to you guys is really just to think about what you want. I think someone mentioned it before, like, where do you want to go? What kind of skills do you want to develop? What are you looking to do, or how are you looking to use your Peace Corps, or how you want your Peace Corps to shape your future career? And also just, we're living in a globalized world. Even if you don't think you want to work internationally ultimately, I think having international experience, working in a domestic setting is also a great resource for a lot of companies. Just understanding a different culture, understanding different people, how to work with them, and understanding sometimes the hardships and things that go along with living abroad is a great resource and skill to have when you're looking for a job out there. So I think that's it.
Great, thank you, Mackenzie. And I want to let you all know that these are just a few of the many teach abroad options that there are out there. There will be some additional organizations represented at the fair, and then in our office we have a handy packet on teaching abroad without certification, which is quite thick and includes many different organizations that U of M students or recent graduates have done in the past, and we'd be happy to give those to you. One other thing that I want to mention before we get to the questions and answers is that if any of you are interested in doing an internship or a service project abroad for credit, like during the academic year or over the summer, another option that you might consider is doing a study abroad program that has a service learning or an internship option that you can do alongside classes. There are lots of programs like that, and several of them will be in attendance at tomorrow's fair as well. So I would encourage you to reference your chart if that's an option that you think might be a better fit for you.